Now to this new report that's being called a, quote, large-scale abuse of authority by the administration. Nearly 68,000 illegal immigrants with criminal records have been released. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, says the numbers don't tell the whole story. But critics accuse the White House of some fuzzy math. Listen.
In the past, if a person was apprehended at the border, they were deported right there by the Border Patrol officers, and it did not count really as a deportation. It was just a returning them across the border, and it didn't count in the numbers. So they started counting those events where they were apprehended right on the border and counted that as a deportation, making their numbers look better than they really are.
Senator Sessions there, Lou Dobbs here now, host of Lou Dobbs Tonight on the Fox Business Network. How are you?
Good to see you, Bill.
Listen, you've been on this story for a number of years.
Yep.
What do you think of it? What do we need to understand?
Well, I think you have to understand a couple of things. One is that the Obama administration is cooking the books and have been caught here in this instance. By the way, Jay Johnson, the head of Department of Homeland Security, actually admitted as much to Congress, brought with him the numbers to substantiate the fact that their number keeping was pretty lousy. And they were using it for their own purposes, a political agenda. Organizations like the CIS are restrictionist advocacy groups, and therefore you have to take their numbers with a grain of salt. So the bottom line here is don't trust any of the numbers given to you by this administration. Don't listen to the numbers from the restrictionists, because their numbers are just as likely to be cooked in their favor.
These criminals, they were accused or they were found guilty of what? Were these hardcore crimes?
So there's some of them running up to rape, murder, and far down as, taking off.
Listen, rape and murder, that's about as hardcore as you get.
The truth,
but
this is it's an abuse of power by this administration.
You mentioned Jay Johnson, the Department of Homeland Security. They say between 2009 and 2012 on screen that the Obama administration has deported 1.5 million out of America.
Senator Jeff Sessions, who has been a stalwart on this issue, working very hard, and his committees on which he sits, have been amongst the best sources of real data. That's bunk, and it's ridiculous. They were using prosecutorial discretion here and have shut down, basically, enforcement of immigration law in the interior, in the workforce, and certainly at the border. And everybody needs to know that. And when people talk about 11 million immigrants in this country, that's another bogus number. The real numbers,
what do you think it is?
I think it's somewhere between probably 15 and 20 million people. Bear Stearns did a study about 6 years ago in which they estimated it at 20 million and did so, I think, with some very rigorous analysis and math. So I think somewhere around there.
Back on this story, though, the advocates for immigration say that this whole thing is misleading. The numbers are skewed. The numbers are distorted. They are skewed. And people have to understand this is utter nonsense. And the argument that's going on is utter nonsense. There's only one question that needs to be answered here in public policy by the United States. And that is, what is in the interest of the nation? Not what is in the interest of other countries, not what is in the interest of those who have broken the law, but first and foremost, what are our values, what are our needs as a nation, as an economy, and why are we so excited about bringing in more low-skilled, uneducated workers at a time when we have over 20 million people who are long-term unemployed in this country or who have disengaged from the workforce altogether because despairing for ever finding a job again. And on it goes. Lou, thank you.
Great to be with you.
See you tonight.
Got a deal.
You bet. Fox Business. You can check them out in the flesh. Thank you, Lou.
Could get better than that.
All right.